For Channel 2 News tonight, we want to give you the update. The Buffalo Bills game against the Cincinnati Bengals has ended for tonight after Bills safety Damar Hamlin collapsed on the field. In just the last hour, we've learned he's now in critical condition. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mary Alice Demler.
And I'm Scott Levin. The scene, of course, was very tense and very emotional as trainers, medics, and ambulance were all brought out onto the field. And our Adam Bonini, our sports director, is live. He's in Cincinnati right now with more on what happened and what is happening right now.
Now, Adam, the reaction from Hamlin's teammates was immediate. They all just looked stunned.
From the moment that it happened, Scott and Mary Alice, where he got back up, he was involved in the hit, got back up and then collapsed just seconds later, and the sense of urgency with which he was treated, you could see it. I was high above the field, second level here from the press box, and from there it was immediate. Everyone in this stadium had the sense that somehow this was something different. We weren't sure what was happening at the time. There were a lot of medical officials around him, medical personnel dealing with the situation. They brought out a backboard and a stretcher. Ambulance came onto the field, and then word began to filter through the press box and then ultimately via ESPN and the game broadcast that CPR was being administered, and that gave us certainly a sense of just how serious this situation was. He was eventually loaded into the ambulance, taken off of the field slowly. The Bills, as you had mentioned, I don't know, it's an image that most of us will never forget, as a team huddled all on one knee in a circle of prayer. The ambulance left the field. Many of the members of the media, including myself, started to make our way down to the locker room as quickly as we could. By the time I got down there, I was told the ambulance was held there for a bit, that members of Hamlin's family were escorted there to the ambulance, and then it left here for the University of Cincinnati Medical Center where he's being treated. There was a bit of not a chaotic, but certainly a very tense scene with Bills team officials, owner Terry Pegula, Ron Rakuya, executive with Pegula Sports and Entertainment, Sean McDermott, Brandon Bean, members of the Bengals staff, officials. There was a conference going on, communication with the league ultimately on what the latest was on Hamlin's condition and what decision to ultimately make in terms of suspending this game. We were then escorted away from all of that. A lot of media had gathered. We were escorted back out here onto the field, and only just a few moments ago allowed back up the tunnel and around the Bills locker room. I can tell you that the team has officially left. Since we last spoke, I walked back up the tunnel. A good number of players were still there longer than expected based on what I had been told by multiple people here, that the team was preparing to load the buses and fly back to Buffalo. They have left the stadium now, on their way presumably to the airport as we speak. And of course the update from the National Football League that came down in accordance with announcing that the game had been suspended until further notice. The update on Hamlin's condition, all that we have is he is here in Cincinnati and in critical condition at this point. That's the very latest from here at Paycor Stadium. Scott, Mary Alice.
All right, thanks very much, Adam, for that. And again, the official statement from the NFL on the situation. It says in part, quote, Hamlin received immediate medical attention on the field by team and independent medical staff and local paramedics. And then the NFL goes on to say that they will provide more information as it becomes available. And just in a few moments ago, a tweet posted by Jordan Rooney, who is Damar Hamlin's marketing rep. It says, quote, his vitals are back to normal and they have put him to sleep to put a breathing tube down his throat. They are currently running tests. We will provide updates as we have them.
And now we are hearing from local leaders as well who are sending their thoughts to Buffalo tonight. Governor Kathy Hochul said in part, quote, our hearts are with his family, loved ones, and the entire Buffalo Bills community. And former Buffalo Bill Jim Kelly says he has never witnessed anything like this before. He says, quote, the game doesn't matter, and sends his prayers to Damar and his family.
We are fortunate to have NFL insider Vic Carucci with us tonight. Vic, we talked about the hit. It really seemed like it It wasn't anything that extraordinary, but when you take into account we only see one little piece of the play, and that player really could have hit Hamlin with tremendous force, enough to do more than just knock the wind out of him.
Yeah, well, and again, it was Tee Higgins on a catch, and the contact that Hamlin made with him, bringing him down, making the actual tackle. And then it, like we said, it didn't, the hit itself didn't look like anything all that great. And then he stands up, gets wobbly, falls backward. And that's when, of course, we knew what the circumstances were, that something very wrong was happening from the reaction of the hit. Now, seeing this tweet from Joe Denneman, he's a news reporter in Cincinnati. He's saying that a source is telling him that the Bills are not staying in Cincinnati. They got on those buses to head to the airport to head back to Buffalo. Again, that's a report from Fox 19 in Cincinnati.
All right, Vic, this is, of course, a very violent sport. Often the players are referred to as gladiators on this field. They are human beings, after all. It is a brotherhood out there on the field as they're warriors. How do these players get back to playing football, whether it's in a day or two or a week from now? What goes on in the players' minds? You know,
as I've been thinking a lot about this in the course of this night, about the reaction. Now, I've done this for so many years, and I can't recall anything similar to this, where you had such a traumatic situation occur. I've seen things like Kevin Everett's injury and others that were that made you, and seeing players put on the board and then on a stretcher, and everybody's holding their breath. The stadium gets silent. Picture 70,000 people in a stadium not making any noise. That in itself is telling. It takes the air out of the stadium. That all said, players play with the understanding there is inherent physical risk to what they do. They do go out there. You use the term gladiator. Sometimes that gets tossed around frivolously, but there is that mentality, and there has to be, from every player, from every coach, from every personnel, every person who's evaluated what makes a good football player. Who do you select to play that less than 1% of society that gets to play in the NFL? And it is a mindset. It is a sense of, indestructibility that you go out there with, and that you almost have to have something like that in order to play this game, given the speed, the strength, everything that goes with it, the level of contact. And there really isn't a more violent sport. There are other sports of heavy contact, hockey, boxing. I mean, we see contact and we see dangerous things happen. But bottom line, football is at the highest degree of collision and danger. And the mindset of the players is they've got to feel like they're going to survive every time they're out there.
Yeah, they are bigger and stronger and faster than they have ever been in the history of the game, and consequently it's become more lethal. No question.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that, Vic.